Thank you very much for having me. I'm really happy to have the chance to speak here about Africa GreenTec. And we are here on a conference for investors, and I want to hear something about numbers. You just said that. I like that a lot. And I would like to raise the question, how can the people, planet, and profit come together? Is this something that fits together, or do we have to compromise on the topics? And I can say, let's start with the people first. You asked the question, what brings the people out of bed? 4 years ago, I was sitting in a village in Mali, together with the elders, the imam, the village chief, and the mayor. And suddenly, the imam stood up and said to me, "My son, we pray every day for Africa GreenTec to come to our village. Our government is promising since years that we get electricity. They don't do it, you do it. You pray for it." And that was the moment that really changed my life. And I've seen many, many startups before, but I've never seen a startup where the customers pray for the product. And they do pray for the product because, 600 million people don't have access to electricity. And this comes with many, many more problems, like 55% of the people in rural areas do not have access to clean water. 40% of the fruits and the harvest just goes to waste. And 71% of the population do not have access to reliable internet. And this is the people component. And here is one customer, Nasu Umar. He was a refugee on his way to Paris. And then his uncle called him and said, "Please come back. The Germans are coming. We get electricity." And he came back from Morocco, back home to his village. And with the money that he had in his pocket, he decided to buy a chicken farm and 2 restaurants. And he's now the happiest man on the planet, I can assure you. And this is about the people. And we have these kind of stories all the time. And let's talk about the planet. Here in Europe, we replace our lamps by LEDs to save some watts. But here, for example, in Chad, there's a city called Sa, where 450,000 people live. And they are not connected to the grid. And they burn 38,000 liters of diesel every week. Still, only 8% of the people are connected. And imagine if they all would be connected to the grid, they would burn 500,000 liters of diesel every week, which is insane because the sun is shining all the time during the day. Yeah. And these are the kind of projects. And this is about planet. Why do we do the nitty-gritty things here in Europe while this is the place where we have to change things? So then let's talk about profit. We always hear Africa is so difficult. And maybe, but it's a continent full of opportunities. In 2050, the GDP will decrease times 4. These are numbers, and even startups are quite a lot there. And 7 billion euros or dollars have been invested into African startups. And this is the kind of business that we have to look at. And this is where the impact comes from. But to make it a bit more concrete, talking about value that we create, this is a welder in Mali. In the past, he had 2 hours electricity, then his diesel can was empty, so he stopped working. They are doing business, but they burn diesel. When we came to the village, we offered him 8 hours electricity every day at lower costs, because diesel kilowatt hours are quite expensive. They cost 50 cents or more. So now he is 4 times more productive. 4 times. And that's the story, at lower costs. And this is the kind of value that we create that we can get back partially. And this is the value that you can earn money with, because we sell our kilowatt hours. We do not give them for free. And this is the company I'm talking about. It's Africa GreenTec. We are on the market since 2016. Thorsten and Aida Schreiber, they founded the company. And Aida grew up in Mali. That's the reason why we started there. It's one of the most complicated countries you can do business today. but our systems are still running. Why? Because we have local people on the ground. We have 100 people in Africa on the ground, 25 employees in Germany or in Europe, and that's the difference. We do not just bring our stuff, our components to the country and then run away. We stay there. We hire people from the village. We do the operations. We educate the people, and that's the major difference. And then the projects really go well. 4 weeks ago, I had the chance to speak to some people from the World Bank, and they said, we are looking at you since months, because what you do is the perfect role model, how it needs to be done. In Africa, you have to build the whole ecosystem. And it's also important to mention, we measure our impact. We moved our production plant to Senegal, so we are very much committed to the continent. But we also learned that it's not enough to bring just kilowatt hours. You really have to build the whole ecosystem. And this is what we combined into the concept of the impact side. So here you see in the center, you see our solar container that comes with the grid and smart meters. It's all prepaid. But additionally, we have here cooling solutions, the cool container, how we call it. We have solar pumps. We have internet, water purification. And we do things like education. So that's the whole program that is done in our impact side, and that's an ecosystem and not just one product or one service. But I mean, I talked a lot about villages, but there are also big organizations that are facing power cuts all the time, and they also need support. And here we have managed to find customers, big NGOs like as Children's Villages, for example, or UN organizations. They also struggle with power cuts, and these are really like top customers. Good for investors because they can definitely pay their bills. And this is what I would like to share with you today. This project that is about three sites in Uganda and Kenya, where we can save 97 kilotons of CO2 every year. They are still burning diesel, and we won the tender to replace diesel and put solar systems there. And yeah, we do the whole thing. We design the project, we finance it, we do the engineering, the whole thing, so we can make sure that it's really working. And as I said, it's in Kenya and Uganda. And yeah, here are some numbers. We have to talk about numbers. This is an investor event. You see, let me just jump to the IRR, 12.8%, which is good. With an A customer, low risk, 7 years payback period. We can even pay an interest rate of 7%. And the whole capex that is needed is 2.9 million euros. And this is a kind of investment with a low risk profile, you know. And this is what we are now offering at the capital market or in the market. And but if you say, well, 2.9 million euros is boring for me, I would like to do more, then we have our Series B round right now in place, where we are searching for 50 million euros, or we even set up a fund that is ready in 2 months, and then you could put 60 million euros into this thing, because this is a kind of business that we have to scale up. You cannot do this on a village by village base. You really have to make use of the economies of scale, and this is why we need to find investors that really see the opportunities in the market in Africa and not leave this market for the Chinese. And so that's what I would love to motivate people to invest into. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. I made it in 10 minutes.